Welcome to Warp Core Breach, episode 49, Attack on Gowron. The rite of succession has been completed, and Gowron is named the new leader of the Klingon High Council. After boarding his flagship, Gowron prepares to leave for Kronos, but is immediately set upon by an enemy fleet. We've seen this before. The House of Duras does not agree with the decision of the Arbiter of Succession, Picard, and attempts to kill Gowron. Will they succeed? Or will Gowron's fleet thwart the assassination attempt? Well, that's entirely up to you.
Oh, believe me, I intend to take that into my own hands, and as a firm member of House Gowron, I'll be doing my darndest to keep him alive.
Yes, well, that's our venue-specific rules. We are doing
True enough.
A fun spin on things and actually having people fight for House Gowron or House Duras, and I think that's a neat little thing, but we'll maybe save that until the end or a separate little snippet. But
Fine. But in the meanwhile, we also have a wonderful little planet token to play around with.
I know! We get another planet!
I think this is the first time I've seen 2 planet tokens in a row.
I can't remember 2 in a row, so I will agree.
Well, either way, it works for me. I think that planet tokens offer a lot to play around with. If the videos for the latest and greatest OP have come out yet, you'll see that I was definitely abusing it in my matches. Specifically against Todd, that thing saved my life for so long.
Yes, those should be up on the shipyard. I know the first match is, and the second one is in editing, and it should be up by the time this goes to post. So
wonderful. That means everyone will get to see an illustration of just how one-sided planets can be.
Yes.
And if anything, I want more one-sided things in scenario plays. Things that give me an advantage over my opponent.
Yeah, planets make you fly differently, and they give you the ability to adapt, and that's a good thing.
Absolutely. So the more I see of them, the better.
Yes. So this actually has very distinct build rules. You must have a Klingon card, a ship, a captain, an admiral, an upgrade. Any of those in your fleet. Which is interesting, thematic. I like forcing people into a little bit of theme.
Yeah, I think having Klingons participating in the Klingon Civil War is kind of important, so I'm okay with this.
Yes. And then every ship in a player's fleet costs -2 points if that ship is either a Klingon ship or a non-Klingon ship with at least 1 Klingon card assigned to it.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. This is exactly what I was hoping for with the new OPs for the Klingon Civil War, being anything that gives me a way to build ships that I couldn't normally build. This is so fantastic for a wide variety of ships, like bioships or big Borg ships or large base ships that normally don't have very many points to play around with. And this just gives you 2 extra points to squeeze in there if you can manage to have any of those cards be a Klingon card.
Yes. It's a pity that Officer Exchange Program is retired.
Not for us.
Well, not for us, but for the majority of people following resource retirement.
That's true. It's not going to be as widely abusable, but being able to turn Klingons into any other faction you want them to, and even get a secondary discount on your captains and admirals, that's going to be fun if we can set that up.
Now, do note, it's not cumulative. You can't put a Klingon on a Klingon ship and get -4. It doesn't work that way.
That's true. It is a binary upgrade, a binary discount. You either have the discount or you don't, but I don't think that's going to be too relevant since it's all about just squeezing that little bit extra, and you only need 1 Klingon card in general to make it work.
Yeah, and there's enough either cheap Klingon cards or very worthwhile Klingon cards that don't cost too many points. So, I'm looking at Crew Wharf.
Crew Wharf. Kunavas is super free if you count the discount. He's basically a 1-cost upgrade that gives you a free hit whenever you want it. There's Alexander, who I'm really a big fan of now that he brings a discount aboard.
Drax and Gowron are now
of course
even better.
Yes, they now go on Romulans like it's free. So there's a lot of cool things you can do, and there's a few Klingon captains that I haven't considered before that I'm actually going to be incorporating in some of my upcoming builds, but you'll have to see those when I bring them to the store.
Oh, yay. I'll look forward to that. So the planet actually represents Kronos, and it's a regular planet token. So if you bump it, you stop, you don't take damage, and you can't fly on it unless you're a Bajoran ship with that cool tech.
Maneuverability, super fun, by the way.
Oh, yeah. So, Gowron is...
Yeah, he's kind of the focus of the whole attack on Gowron business.
As you would figure. So, each player must have Gowron assigned to a ship in their fleet.
Absolutely mandatory. Have to have him somewhere.
And you can do this in one of two ways. You can either do it covertly, so a little Romulan in there. And if you want to go that route, prior to the start of the game, before any ships are set up, the player secretly records on a separate sheet of paper which ship in their fleet has Gowron assigned to it. There's no penalties, special abilities, or bonuses gained by Gowron being covertly assigned to a ship. If you use that method, you don't actually use a Gowron card. But
not yet.
yeah. But Gowron's aboard the ship.
You've satisfied the needs of the scenario, and since you're going to be getting Gowron for free, you don't need to worry about any sort of weirdness with points, putting him on different vessels and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's basically just keeping it a little bit secret so that your opponent doesn't know which ship to focus down or to take away your Gowron and score the extra points for it at the end of the game.
Yeah. Hint, if they're running the assimilated Brel and they have Borg ablative hull armor and a whole bunch of attack cancellation on it, Gowron's probably there.
Dave, stop. You're spoiling my new build.
Oh, well, that's not intentional. Just a thought there, folks.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Now, if you want to do things openly, you want to be transparent about it, this is kind of the Federation approach to things. You can assign Gowron as a captain or admiral to one of the ships in your fleet. If you do it this way, there's no cost for the Gowron captain or admiral card.
Which is fantastic because not only can you put him onto an off-faction ship for absolutely free, you also don't pay a faction penalty at all. It's just a free upgrade, well, admiral or captain, wherever you really want him.
Yes, and I am completely on board with that this says no cost, that means no cost.
The two things in specific I think are really interesting about how this can be used is that you can put him on any other ship as long as you're running him openly. Now you've satisfied the Klingon captain, admiral, ship, or upgrade clause and have scored your -2 points for the cost of the entire ship, as well as you get a free talent slot, even if the captain that you're going to pilot the ship with wouldn't normally get one.
Yeah. I'm with you there. Plus, Admiral Gowron is a really good ability.
Yeah. Not only are you getting the discount, the talents are really nice, and if you slap him down on an off-faction super defensive ship, then you can really make it last, even though you're carrying him out in the open, which kind of cuts down the downside that carrying him openly carries with it.
Yeah, no, the best place for Admiral Gowron is on a Klingon ship with a Klingon captain, but off faction, he's still a battle station action. So,
absolutely. And the other cool thing is that you can actually just take him as a free captain, save 3 points, get your 2-point discount, and put battle stations on anything you want, basically.
Which is great, and you get another action bar action if he's on a Klingon ship. So,
yeah, which is super handy. So, basically, Gowron, probably one of the best things that ever happened to Klingons and now you get him free.
Yeah, and if you don't want to use that one, then the one that came on the Nagvar pack, the one that gives all your other ships +1 attack die, it might be just Klingon ships.
All the other Klingon ships. I've been looking at him because we were in the Klingon Civil War, so he might be something fun to bring out if you're going with a swarmier fleet.
Yeah.
Cough, Dave.
Yeah, I know. I've run a few swarms. But that's not a bad captain at all either, especially if you're getting him for free.
Now, the new Gowron that we'll talk about later is not half bad, but I don't think he really measures up to the other two. So I don't think that we'll discuss him here, especially because he can't be run for this OP.
True. Unless your venue does some weird things, but that's
we
between
don't judge,
you and your venue.
Hey. Finally, there's the transferring of Gowron, which is...
Throw an editor note here and say, hey, at this point, Craig's mic died, so we switched to the backup.
You get this extra action. If your Gowron is being carried openly, you can lower all your shields to target a friendly ship within range 1 to 2 that has no active shields, remove your Gowron, and assign it to the target ship. Now, if your Gowron's the captain, then you must turn the other captain face down and replace him, and sadly, this does put your captain skill at 1, but you at least get to move Gowron over to what I can only assume is going to be a safer ship to carry him.
Yes. I think that's the idea is, hey, we must protect Gowron at all costs.
And it's quite important to do that, since there is a nice little bonus at the end if your opponent doesn't manage to kill your Gowron and you do kill theirs. I don't want to exactly worry about how multiple Gowrons work out, but suffice to say, your Gowron should end up being the superior Gowron.
I think that's the idea. Now, when they mention your ship, it's the ship that Gowron departs from. That's the one that has skill 1. The one that he's going to gets whatever Gowron's skill is.
Now, you can also do this if your Gowron is being carried covertly. However, the action will assign him to the ship and makes him an openly carried card rather than being covert. So you can only transfer once while your Gowron's covert, at which point the jig is up, so to speak.
It would be rather difficult to do it because you got to declare a ship performing an action. And, yeah. It'd
be a little bit weird if you just said, I performed my action, and just went along with your day after lowering your shields.
I think everybody would know what it is, but...
something I'm considering just by looking at how all this is worded is playing around with the Xindi Weapon 0 as a Gowron carrier or receiver, since it has no shields to speak of naturally. You can actually toss-hit Gowron over to the Xindi Weapon at pretty much any time without worrying about tossing him into a dangerous scenario, since normally you don't want to actually move him, since the ship you're moving him to necessarily lowers all their shields or has none to speak of in the first place.
Right. For everyone out there, the NX-01 would work with enhanced hull plating.
That's true. There are a few no-shield ships, the Praetus, if that's what you want to do with it.
I don't think that's what anybody wants to do with it.
Probably not the wisest idea, but, it's possible.
It's possible.
It is important to note that you can't actually use this on cloaked ships, so if you thought about cloaking the Praetus and just transferring it over, still not actually going to work for you that way.
True. Yeah, some of the mirror ships, Avenger, would work okay. Again, with enhanced hull plating.
Of course.
It's all about having something with really good defenses.
Something that can survive the focus fire that's necessarily going to be coming in. The game ends when one player is eliminated or time is reached, so there's no alternative win condition, but if you destroy your opponent's Gowron while they're carrying it openly, you get 10 extra fleet points, whereas if you kill your opponent's Gowron while they're carrying him covertly, you get 20 extra fleet points. So there's a sort of risk-reward to hiding him.
Yes. Do you want to play Battleship, or do you want to play Risk?
Heck, that's more Stratego with all the hidden information.
Okay, fair enough. But Battleship, you're at least shooting at things that your opponent has hidden. And
yeah.
I understand the analogy there.
It's a loose correlation, but it definitely checks out.
Yeah. I like that you have options all the way around. How are you building this? How are you assigning Gowron? Is it open or covert?
Are you taking full advantage of the discounts for the Klingon fleet special rules? Are you making sure to bring something Klingon? But even if it's a secondary weapon, it still gives you that cost reduction, and that might be worth taking since it automatically negates its own faction penalty and also gives you a 1-point discount.
Yes. And then the ever-pressing question, do skill 1 0-point Klingon generic captains count?
That's an interesting question because they carry no faction penalty according to the base rulebook, and so if you assign one of them to your ship, do you actually get the discount since you paid nothing and you just get 2 free points?
Yeah. My notion is no, because you're not putting anything special on it.
Which I think is more than fair, considering they're completely free to start with.
Yeah. If they were a faction penalty, then I might go for it, but since they're not, then I'm going to go with no.
You can't get something for nothing, even though you want it.
Yeah. You got to pay something to get something.
Yes. And I believe that covers all these special rules for the scenario.
It does.
My inkling for the scenario is going to be that you're going to want something big, bulky, and defensive to carry your Gowron with pride, giving you either an admiral or a captain to play around with, whether you want to put this on something reasonably big, like the Navar class ship for the Klingons, and just use it as a captain, or whether you want to go all out and put this on a big Borg cube. I'm going to leave that up to you, but I know what I'm doing.
The Regent's flagship.
The Regent's flagship is actually really a cutesy idea, considering it's literally a flagship, as well as it's big and can be made defensive with enough upgrades.
Yeah. I think that might be fun.
Mm-hmm. There's a whole lot of fun things you can do with this, and I'm hoping to surprise at least a few people when I eventually get to field my fleet for this.
Ooh. Gowron on a docked ship inside of the Borg sphere port. He's on the board.
That counts. Yeah, you assign him to the ship at the start and wait to pop him out and say, okay, now you can shoot at my Gowron.
He's covertly assigned.
No, I really like that idea. That's actually really cool.
Ooh.
These are some of the things you can do. And since he gives you a 2-point cost reduction, if you're carrying him openly on that ship, you don't even need to worry about it. There's a whole lot of fun things to be done here, and it's up to each and every one of us to find how we want to abuse them.
But the thing is, I don't even think that's super abuse, because we saw how you can kill whatever you dock inside of the Borg cube.
Oh yeah, no.
It's
not invulnerable,
tough.
But it takes a while to get there. And I don't mean abuse in the normal sense where you're just scrounging every little thing you can. I'm more talking about abuse where you make the mechanics work for you. Anytime you're getting a little bit of an advantage over your opponent, I consider that an abuse of the mechanics.
Sure. But this is when at least everybody's got the same tools to work with.
Yes, absolutely. And the great thing about this and the whole Klingon Civil War is now you've got a lot more tools. Suddenly all those Klingon captains and Klingon crewmen, tech even, secondary weapons, are all looking that much more appealing.
Mm. You know what you could do also? Just go generic Raptor Swarm or Brel Swarm and Gowron covertly and let them shoot blind ducks.
give them a target-rich environment and let them try their luck. And that is the other thing, is that swarm fleets actually have a little bit of a buff here, because each ship you're swarming with, so long as you've got something Klingon or are just using a Klingon ship, is now that much cheaper.
Yeah.
Heck, these 2-point cost reductions might be just enough to allow you to pick up some useful captains as opposed to generic no-names on a real big swarm fleet.
Hey, I'll take 18-point Borels all day.
Absolutely. Not a lot to complain about there.
Other than the normal things you complain about Borels for.
Other than the fact that it's a Borel and you're still flying it.
But,
There's a much better chance of it working out for you, given all the cost reductions and bonuses you'll be getting in this scenario. And I think that just about wraps it up. There's a natural inclination towards big defensive ships, but there's also the option to try and play it sneaky-like with the hidden Gowron. And as we all know, the hidden Gowron is the most deadly Gowron. So playing around with having him covert, swapping him ships, maybe swapping him over the planet to a damaged ship over there in order to keep him safe. Since you should be able to land that range 1 to 2 through the planet token, even though your opponent can't fire through it.
Yeah, I think so. I think that does work.
This might be one of the few times that splitting your forces around the planet is actually the right decision.
Just have one ship keep bumping into the planet.
Uh-huh. Keep it cloaked so that it can drop its cloak when it needs to, so that shields are down. Yeah, there's some things to be done here, and I like most of them.
Yeah.
It's weird that this makes me want to play around with the Bajoran Interceptor, considering they have no shields, and one of them can bump the planet without even worrying. That might be a nice little escape plan for your Gowron if you're into that.
We're running through the planet this time.
Yeah, no, there's quite a lot here, and I love planet tokens, so I'm glad to be playing with one of them. I like any time that I get cost reductions, so the entire Klingon Civil War is going to be one big bag of fun for me. And the free Gowron is just the cherry on top to really make this an interesting scenario for building your fleet within.
I agree. Let's move on to what you get if you win. Now, normally we talk resource first. We're saving that for the end.
Yeah, that's like the redeeming, that's the coming back to center for this whole section.
So we get another named Vorcha, yay.
I'm not complaining about the Vorcha. I'm complaining about the actual ability it gets.
Yeah, it's got 2 crew, a weapon, and attack.
Also pretty great. That's the Mata verbatim, other than the named ability, which is nowhere near the Mata.
When defending during the roll defense dice step, you may re-roll one of your defense dice. If you do so, place an auxiliary power token beside your ship.
So let me get this straight. This is Elizabeth Shelby for your named ability for an Ox power with nothing special for Borg.
You can do this every time you get shot.
Okay, that's marginally better.
Yeah.
I just... Rerolling defense dice is usable. I can't see when I would want to use this other than if I was off of surviving by like 1 evade result and I just needed that one. I could use this as a last-ditch effort to try and save my ship. But otherwise, it's just not worth the Ox.
No. Reroll should have been no Ox. Setting an evade should have been an Ox.
Oof. At that point, I would have wanted them to remove the when defending, since there's a lot of ships that just add that for an Ox already. I don't want that to kind of be power creeped, but yeah, I think that there's something to be done here beyond just giving them a flat reroll of a single die for a full Ox token. That's an insult.
Yeah. Or at least all your blanks, because it cloaks.
Yeah, so it's not a bad ship, don't get me wrong. It just has an ability that's outclassed by another really good ship that literally everyone has.
Yeah.
So that's the Bortas for you.
Yeah. But it's another named Vorcha, which people like.
Yeah, it's...
I guess.
Like I said, I'm not knocking it. That's 8 durability on a Vorcha with 5 attack dice. I can dig it.
So you can dig it. A grave? Because nobody will ever run it in a tournament?
Well, again, that's not true. If you just want another Vorcha, I'd rather a Vorcha than an unnamed Navar class, and they've got the same durability.
I'd rather a generic Vorcha and 2 extra points to mess around with.
That could be. But this also has extra crew slots, so I'm not saying that this will never get run. I actually see this getting run a little bit more often than the Dravana, just because it has the 2 crew slots.
Oh, yeah, certainly.
And I wouldn't knock the Dravana either, so I'm kind of stuck in the middle of, this doesn't make me excited, but at the same time, it's a Vorcha. It's good on that merit alone.
Okay.
Coming up next, we have the newest iteration of Captain Gowron. If he is assigned to a Klingon ship with all destroyed shields, you gain 1 attack die on all your attacks. And you lose it if your shields get repaired. This is not bad.
He is skill 5 with a talent slot.
That's 3 points, of course. And I don't see anything to complain about. You're Klingon, so you're not really worried about your shields going away.
He's not an action, he's not a disable, he's not time token.
It's entirely passive. It doesn't have much synergy with the Klingon disabling shields for like cloaking or projected stasis field, but as long as you have already taken the damage, you might as well get a boost for it.
The problem is have been destroyed, so you can't even put him on a no-shield ship.
Mm-hmm. Well, he also must be on a Klingon ship, so in order to get the bonus. So that was already right out. But I actually like the fact that he's Captain Skill 5, since he's low enough Captain Skill that he's probably going to take a hit or 2 before it's his turn to fire, so he should naturally be getting this bonus in combat.
No, true. But,
It's abilities like this that really want a low skill captain, and they kind of designed it properly on Gowron. Whether or not that's enough to warrant having a 5 skill captain in your fleet at all, especially when it means you can't cloak if you want to take advantage of its ability, that's up to you.
He works well on the assimilated Brel with Borg Ablative Hull Armor, because your shields go first, and then you still have more durability sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
But that's pricey.
Yeah. Not great, not awful either. And that's a far cry from most of the rest of this pack, to be honest.
I think the problem is he's Gowron, and the Admiral version is better.
That is hands down the biggest problem he has. Not only does he keep the Klingon-reliant nature, he doesn't improve upon the free battle station into whatever other action of the other Gowron. So I can very rarely see him being played over his other iteration.
Yeah, and even the Negvar Gowron is situational.
Yeah, this is the only passive Gowron, so I think it might be worthwhile in that respect. But other than that, I can't really see why I would choose him over his other versions.
So, Cry of the Warrior is a 5-point unique Klingon talent, and that should tell you about all you need to know. But nevertheless, we're going to read it.
Such short shrift, Dave. Oh, already.
When attacking during the roll attack die step, you may discard this card to gain +1 attack die for each opposing ship that has your ship in its forward firing arc, max of +3. The next time your ship rolls defense dice, roll -1 defense die for each additional attack die you gained with this ability. So don't cloak.
Absolutely do not be cloaking with this. But on the other end of things, this is basically a variable strength Ramataclan.
Sure, but it still has the same problem that Ramataclan has. Doesn't work against Borg.
Doesn't work against rear arcs.
Doesn't work against anything using 360, Dorsals, Voyager, Enterprise D, Deep Space Nine, Xindi Weapon Zero, etc. It's okay. But it's just adding dice.
It is just 3 attack dice maximum.
At best, you're getting 3 dice for 5 points one time.
That said, it is passive, and if you're losing 3 defense dice when you would only be rolling 1, you don't go into the negatives. So it's not a big drawback. And 5 points for a 3 attack die burst might just be worth it, especially because Klingons are not known for having very useful elite talents, to be honest.
Save the points, run Qapla'.
Really? Qapla' just set a result? I don't agree with that. I think that setting a crit is a lot less useful than rolling 3 extra attack dice. Now, I am making the assumption that you're going to get a full 3 attack dice with this, but I still don't think that Qapla' necessarily takes the place of Cry of the Warrior. I might argue that the, whatchamacallit?
Kunivas?
No, the Day Is Ours, the one that adds a free crit, might be worth it since it adds the result, and you can do it during the roll attack dice step, just like this. But I don't necessarily think Qapla' is where I'm going to put my points if I'm worried about buying Cry of the Warrior.
Yeah, Day Is Ours is still 4 points just for 1 crit. It's not worth it.
Well, in that case, I don't see why Cry of the Warrior wouldn't be, especially if you're putting it on something like Katemok or discount Martok in order to get points off. I like you, Cry of the Warrior.
Because nobody runs discount Martok.
I do.
No. Martok 8.
Martok 8's great, don't get me wrong, but
and
discount
Martok 9 are better than discount Martok.
Generally speaking, but when you want to... Dave, you gotta open your mind.
I have.
I maybe am overvaluing discounts.
Is a mediocre talent.
Yeah,
it
but
is.
I
It
don't
is better
disagree.
than 2/3 of what the Klingons have, but it is. That doesn't make it good.
I'm not saying it's good. I'm saying it's better than the other options for Klingons. I can't see a single Klingon 5-point elite talent that I would rather have.
That doesn't mean that this is worth running, though.
You're not wrong, and that's where I'm going to leave it.
Just save the points and run Kunivas. That gives you an extra hit for 2 points.
Does take a crew slot, which is not necessarily something you always have.
Klingons don't need that many crew. Worf, Drex, Orin, Garen.
Alexander is now like my new favorite thing ever since I
you're
came
running
up with the
on
idea.
One ship.
Yeah, it's probably not the best.
This is 5 points. Klingons do not have 5 points to toss around. It's 1/4 of a Brel. This is not 1/4 of a ship good.
You know what is 5 points of good? Aim and fire.
No?
Maybe I'm reading this wrong.
I think you are.
When attacking with your primary weapons, you may discard this card to target a ship at range 1 to 2. The target ship cannot reroll any of its defense dice against that attack. Now, does this mean that I can fire range 1 to 2 in 360 degrees regardless of arc? No, it does not mean that?
You still have to have a weapon that allows you to make an attack.
Really?
Yeah.
Because it's when attacking with primary weapons. So is this just saying that when attacking with primary weapons at range 1 to 2, the ship you're attacking can't re-roll their defense dice?
I believe so.
In that case, I can't imagine this being a 2-point talent, let alone a 5-point talent.
I mean, maybe it lets you fire 360.
I was thinking that was like the whole reason it's here, is a 5-point 360 degree fire one time, because it is a discard as well.
But I've seen really bad talents be thought that they were overcosted, so they needed to do something better, and they were ruled differently. So I don't understand why this is... Yeah, all this says is rather than adding attack dice, it prevents your opponent from re-rolling defense dice.
At which point it's utter garbage and should never even be looked at, let alone brought in your fleet.
This would be a perfect 1-point talent.
That really weirds me out. I was so psyched for this too. Oh, that is such a letdown. 5 points for they can't re-roll their defense dice? I mean, I guess if your friend is really attached to Kiafet Al-Mansur on top of the Zindi Weapon 0, this could be the thing for you, but
or
even then,
DeSoto.
What does DeSoto do?
He re-rolls a defense die for every crew assigned to his ship.
Oh, yes. Any of the captains that give you a lot of crew re-rolls, not crew re-rolls, but defense dice re-rolls, maybe aim and fire is like the secret counter to those, but that seems really, really stretching it.
Nanclis just does it better.
I'd rather have like scans that just make my opponent roll less defense dice in the first place, rather than stopping them from re-rolling.
Plus, people add evades and convert their defense dice rather than re-rolling them.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot of re-rolling going on when it comes to defense dice. That's more of an attack die thing. So,
yeah. Oh no, aim and fire neutralizes the Bortas.
Oh no.
I'm afeared now.
Yeah, it's too OP. WizKids, please nerf. Okay, so that is kind of a disappointment, but aim and fire. Don't bring this.
Ever.
Yeah.
Oh, except to a bonfire. Bring it to that. So you can light it on fire.
Speaking of don't bring this, we have another wharf.
Oh, yay. Hey, it's a 3-point crew wharf. Wait, we've seen this. When attacking a ship with no active shields, you may disable this card to gain +1 attack die. Your ship cannot roll any defense dice during the round in which you use this ability. No?
Duras fodder. Nothing else ever. Period.
If this just said when attacking a ship with no active shields, roll +1 attack die,
that would actually be OP. That would be too much, because there's already the Dominion tech upgrade. That's 4 points. If you have a scan attacking a ship with no active shields, gain 1 attack die. I wouldn't want it to just be a standard passive. But, actually, maybe that's kind of what they're doing. They're power creeping some of the old trash upgrades, like the 3-point crewman on the Enterprise A that gave you an evade result whenever you perform a green maneuver. Valeris, yes. She was a direct power creep of some earlier upgrades, so maybe that's what they want to be doing now. However, they didn't, and I'm glad about that. So instead, we just get a wharf card that we never run.
They had to make this wharf, and there's already great versions of wharf, so you're never going to run this.
Which is painful.
So let's pretend this wasn't named wharf. We still wouldn't run it, because it's one kind of good thing for an action later, and no defense dice.
No, Dave. No, it's not. It's a one kind of good thing for a disable, and now you have a crew that you can discard for something like conditional surrender or Duras.
I'm saying if you ever want to use it again, it's an action.
That's true. Yeah, if you want to have a permanent benefit from this, rather than kind of a one-time investment.
Fed Fighter 6. They already have the ability where if the ship they're attacking has hull damage, they add a hit result.
And to be fair, that's probably one of the best named abilities in the entire game.
I understand. So Worf getting an extra die for the ship he's attacking having no shields would not be utterly broken.
I agree. I don't think it would be entirely broken, but it would definitely be power creep over the previous upgrades, which isn't necessarily a bad thing when the other previous upgrades never get run in the first place.
But instead of doing that, they just threw drawbacks at this card to say, hey, you're never going to run this.
Yeah.
Because I think there's 7 other versions of Worf I would rather run before this.
Which is about where that leaves us, so no Worf, because Worf is already better as other Worfs.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we have Emergency Override, a non-unique tech upgrade for 2 points, is a Klingon. It is action. If you executed a green maneuver this round, disable this card to repair one of your shields. Ew.
I'm actually okay with it for 2 points. I don't love it.
I think at 2 points, I like it specifically because it's one of the only 2-point Klingon tech upgrades that exists, and I really want to believe that advanced technology can work, but on its own, ew. I don't like that it's a disable. I don't like that it's an action. I don't like that it's only shields. It can't remove critical damage. There's just nothing I like about this. Correction. In combination with Buka.
Sure.
Maybe. That gives you spend your action. That gives you 3 extra points of durability if you perform a green maneuver.
Sure. This is also Duras fodder.
That's Duras. Mr. Alpha Strike himself.
See, we're making it happen a little bit.
I do like anything that disables itself instead of discarding itself, but 2 points for repairing a shield at the cost of an action on top of the disable? God, that really is making it a hard sell.
Oh yeah, this shouldn't be an action. This should just be if you executed a green maneuver, disable the card to repair a shield.
Yeah, and on disable, I would buy that at 3 points.
Or this could have been a time token card.
Oh, time tokens. If we can actually start doing things with those, rather than just having them be a gimmick on like 3 or 4 non-weapon cards, that would be great.
I wouldn't have even minded action time tokens.
That I could still see.
But action disabled is essentially saying 2 actions.
Mm-hmm.
No, not doing that.
It's not worth it. I like it as fodder for other things like advanced technology and Duras. I don't like it for what it is.
Well, and lore and Ben Sisko mirror, those are also things that throw things out the airlock and do more fun with it. So,
yeah, but lore is crew only, and this is a tech upgrade.
Fine, that's what Worf is good for.
Yeah, still. So, a lot of chaff, but I still think that having an extra Vorcha about and another passive version of Gowron is a good thing.
Sure. So, now we get to what you get for just showing up.
And believe me, you want to show up just for this.
Yeah, because these aren't going to last.
Oh boy, this is what I'm talking about.
If there's a resource to show up this entire year, this is the one to get.
General Orders and Fleet Commander, probably the 2 top ones we're going to be seeing for the whole thing.
Yeah, but I have a feeling this is going to see... Well, let's talk about it.
Yes.
This is a 5-point card you assign to a ship.
Mm-hmm. And you don't just assign the card to the ship, you also assign a second captain.
Yes. The ship may use both captain abilities as normal throughout the game. The overall captain skill number for the ship is the highest captain skill +1, which is neat.
Yep.
In addition, the ship to which the second captain is assigned gains either +1 shield or +1 hull.
Can't go over 6.
Yes, to a max of 6 hull. So if you're putting this on a big Borg ship or such, you get an extra shield.
And if you're putting this on nearly anything else, you're getting an extra whatever the heck you want.
Typically shield.
Generally speaking, shields, not least of which because they can be comboed with a bunch of fun upgrades for extra durability on the shields, but also because they can't be crit.
Yes. Though if you're cloaking, you go hull.
Yeah, this might be a nice buff on the Mata to bring that up to Navar levels of cloaking durability.
Yes. So, they opened up a big can of worms.
2 what do you do with, what don't you do with 2 captains, really?
Well, Gen Con and anything useful.
Yeah, 4 points for basically I have the highest captain skill. Come at me, bro. I do like that makes a ton of low skill captains usable.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm thinking things that give you free quality, like K-Bach or the Borg tactical drone that I was so fond of. But this also allows you to bring some really cutesy cards, like Bractor, that would never normally see play, but are worth building with.
Oh, Picard and Rudolph Ransom.
Oh, yeah, there's a bunch of I like Calvin Hudson for being awesome on independent ships. You can really build up a song with that, maybe a space station. Though it is important to note that you are still paying for the captain.
You are. And you're putting these 5 points onto the ship, which hurts it a little bit because now you have 5 fewer points to mess around with if you're still playing under 50 points.
Do you actually assign the resource to the ship?
Yes.
Where do you read that? I don't see that anywhere on the card.
It's because you're assigning the second captain to the ship. This is going to the ship in the same way that flagships and fleet captains went to the ship.
I was under the impression that the flagships went to the ship because they actually modified the cost of the base of the ship, because they also added the faction, and the fleet captains went to the cost of the ship because it counted as part of the cost of the captain, whereas this does not count as the cost of the captain nor the cost of the ship, and so looks to me like it's its own thing, but I'm going to have to defer to you on that. I don't see a reason why this would be part of the cost of the ship, but if it is, that does actually nerf it quite a bit in my opinion, since if you're going to be loading 2 captains onto a ship, you're probably going to want to deck it out with everything you can fit.
Well, we'll find out.
Absolutely. We've got time to play around with this. We've got 18 months until this is out the airlock, but in that time, we should have lots and lots of fun combining captains, using low-skill captains that would never otherwise see play, and getting some extra durability on our ships for quite the interesting set of combinations.
Yeah, this is one of those... I fear what it's done because... The game was designed for a single captain.
There's a lot of captain combinations out there that are going to get really broken really fast, and unleashing that upon the game, maybe not the wisest idea for longevity's sake.
But we'll find out.
Yeah, it's here now, so we're going to have to learn to play with it one way or the other. And to be fair, I don't want to sound like I'm all worry. I'm also, the entire other half of my brain is thinking about how I can use and abuse this on ships to boost their shields for good improved deflector strings combinations, what sort of captains I can stack to make that better. There's a lot of captains that give you rerolls, like the DeSoto you mentioned earlier, that I might want to run on a super defensive ship that I wouldn't normally have space for, since I was probably dedicating my captain to quality or some such. There's just a lot going on here that makes it convoluted to think about and to kind of see where it fits, but it definitely fits in a lot of places.
That it absolutely does.
Especially combining low skill, high utility captains with high skill, also high utility captains, to be fair.
Yeah, nobody's using this to run the junk high skill captains like Female Q or Anorax just for the skill. No.
Yeah, you can just take Gen Con with whatever you want, or you could take 2 really utilitarian effects together.
You can take 2 Borg captains just to get a whole mess of drones.
You know what's really fun? You can actually take Captain Gul Madred along with whatever else you want and keep the ship functioning after Madred goes off with his target, rather than using him as an admiral.
Oh yeah, people have already talked about Madred, Wayun 6, and Lenalis.
That is as disgusting as I was hoping it would be.
So, How many times do you want a Madred?
Yes, all of the Madred.
And that means Ready Room is going to be a much more important resource.
Ready Room, your only Nihilus, Centurion, if that's how deep you want to go. Captain Protection's probably going to become a little bit more important, and I like that because it hasn't been in the past, especially with Madred being almost exclusively an Admiral, which nearly can't be protected from.
Oh, I mean, a lot of people ran him as a captain, but once you do that, you're opening him up to his own captain losses.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be that guy.
Don't be that guy, Dave. Don't do it.
Somebody's going to be that guy, though.
Almost certainly. And I look forward to it, honestly. I want something new, and Fleet Commander gives that to me. It does make me worry, as you mentioned, that this is going to be a little bit too broken, too abusable, that it's going to be all we see for a while, but, you know, I think that at least it's something new, something engaging to work with, and I like that.
Yeah.
Something I really like is that you can make a super defensive ship that doesn't really care as much about minefields using Goldamar, considering minefields have always been a thorn in my side.
Oh, yeah. He'd be a nice support guy.
For planet token fleets, you can have Captain Hazar from the Bajorans pop in to just constantly knock down your opponent's attack dice. There's so many utility captains that just don't get run, and Fleet Commander is probably the best way to do it. All told, I want to run more of Star Trek Attack Wings captains, and this is going to be the resource that gets me to do it.
Oh, there you go.
2 thumbs way up. Way, way up. Not because I think it's balanced or fair, but because I think it's interesting and fun.
Yeah. We'll see. I'm intrigued by this. I'm also
worried by this.
Yeah. I'm this one has me holding my head and going, I feel like it needed more restriction on it.
Or even just less bonuses, because already I would run this if it was just you can have 2 captains on 1 ship. However, it gives you 2 captains on 1 ship, adds 1 to the highest captain skill, and gives the ship 1 extra durability of your choosing. That's just so much.
It is. And a lot of people will run it, and they'll be happy about it.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to complain about that. I'm still in awe that this is a thing, and my mind's whirling at the possibilities.
It's going to be messy.
It's going to be fun, Dave.
No, it's not.
Got to be an optimist.
You don't have the job of being a TO.
That is true.
I have to figure out how to keep this thing fair and fun. Competitive, fair, and fun.
Good luck.
This resource makes it... It's still going to be competitive, but fair and fun, I don't know. I really don't know.
And I think that's the most we can say on Fleet Commander without repeating ourselves.
Yeah. All right. Well, go play. Get Fleet Commander because, well...
Go combine funky captains. Use the captains that you loved the text on but just couldn't run because they were too weak or too restrictive.
Yeah. And let us know your fun combinations, because...
Heck, combine captains to make even better combinations. There's so many fun things. And I'm looking forward to all of them, so...
All right. That's it for us. We'll be back sometime.
Have fun, everybody, and remember, abuse Fleet Commander. It's good. It's so fun. It's what I want.
Warp Core Breach is produced by Nick Norris and David Montgomery, with additional content from our contributors. Our computer is voiced by Corinne Donnelly.
Warp Core Breach is not endorsed, sponsored, or affiliated with CBS Studios Incorporated or the Star Trek franchise. All Star Trek trademarks and logos are owned by CBS Studios Incorporated.
All sound files are used under Creative Commons 3.0 by attribution. For specifics, please visit our Facebook page by searching Warp Core Breach Podcast. If you want to contribute to the show, let us know on the Facebook page, or you can email us at warpcorebreachpodcast@gmail.com.